same as it ever was. For the first time ever, the finals has given us four of a kind. And so we are Bayside once again for Cavaliers Warriors Part 4 here at Oracle Arena. The series begins tomorrow night. The chatter has already begun, and there will be more of that here today. The defending champs inside getting their practice in ahead of Game 1 tomorrow night. And they and the Cavaliers will both have their NBA-mandated media availabilities here as well over the next couple of hours, and that's why we are here ahead of Game 1 of the 2018 NBA Finals. This is the NBA Finals 2018 media availability presented by YouTube TV. Welcome in, everybody, on what Marv Albert would describe as a brisk 59-degree day here in Oakland, California. That's the Hall of Famer Isaiah Thomas. 3D Dennis Scott will join us from inside the building here in just a moment. I'm Matt Weiner. Good to have you along with us as we get ourselves set for yet another edition of the Cavaliers and Warriors starting here on tomorrow night. LeBron James and the Cavaliers got here via Boston. James became the sixth in league history to reach 8 straight NBA Finals. He had 35, 19, and 9 assists in Game 7 in that road win. The Warriors also needed a road Game 7 victory to get here. Steph Curry had 14 of his 27 and another trademark third-quarter binge for the Dubs to do away with Houston. So here we go again. The Warriors will look for a third title in 4 years. Last year it was KD as your finals MVP as Golden State dispatched the Cavaliers in 5 games. This is the first time the same two teams have met in 4 straight championships in any of the major North American leagues. Golden State has won 2 of the first 3 matchups, with both teams showing the ability to win on the other's court. Steph, 76 threes in the last 3 finals. Only 3 Cavaliers have played in all 3 finals so far. Remember, Kevin Love was inactive in 2015. And 4 Warriors will appear in their 4th straight finals, assuming we see Andre Iguodala at some point during this series. And with that, we'll bring in Dennis Scott from inside Oracle Arena. And we'll start with Iguodala, who's already been announced as out for Game 1 3D with that injury that the Warriors have been calling a left lateral leg contusion. Remember, he was the finals MVP back in 2015, in large part for his defense on LeBron James. How big a deal is this going into Game 1?
Well, Matt and Isaiah, I think it's going to be a big deal, as Iguodala is actually sitting right here behind me right now, sitting there watching the team get ready, obviously, for the game tomorrow. With the way LeBron James is playing right now, you need that extra body where someone can play him straight up. We know in this playoffs, there's been a lot of switching going on, and not having a guy like Iguodala that can move around, switch multiple positions. And on the offensive end, guys, he's also one of those guys that handles the ball and helps Clay and Steph and KD with the facilitation of the basketball. So it's going to be sorely missed not having Iguodala in Game 1.
So, Andy, on both ends of the floor, he has the best net rating of any player still left in the postseason. Cavaliers could be shorthanded here as well. Kevin Love's status for Game 1 still unknown after sitting out Game 7 because of the concussion protocol.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Love being out, you know, definitely is going to hurt Cleveland a little bit. However, you know, when you look at Jeff Green coming in, what Jeff Green does for them, he's able to defend a little bit better. He's able to take the ball off the dribble. However, though, Love's rebounding will be missed. And one of the things that's underrated about rebounding the basketball is that it does control tempo. And when you can rebound the basketball offensively and defensively, you're able to have some impact on controlling the tempo. And for Cleveland to win this series, or even win Game 1, they're going to have to control tempo. And we know in this building, Golden State does a great job of increasing the pace. They want to play faster. Cleveland wants to play a little slower.
Right.
And rebounding becomes that much more important.
Love's also the only other Cavalier, aside from LeBron, averaging double digits in the postseason here so far. Iguodala's injury has been a curious one. It's a bone bruise is the way it's been described. The uncertainty of it, how does that affect the Warriors moving forward? Not just the fact that they're missing him on the floor for Game 1, but the fact that they don't really know when they're going to get him back.
I mean, Matt, the biggest uncertainty is what he does for them defensively. We always talk about the offensive end, you know, but Steve Kerr has, you know, compared him to one of the 50th greatest players ever in terms of Scottie Pippen and what Pippen did for the Bulls. Pippen was able to control tempo in terms of advancing the basketball, and he always took the best offensive player. So when you look at what Iggy does for Golden State, defensively he's very solid. Offensively he's able to pass, move, he's able to control tempo, and he's that one guy that you can put anywhere out on the floor and have a major impact on the game. And like Pippen, that's what Iggy does for them.
Let's talk about some of the folks who will be playing in Game 1. Let's start with LeBron James, who not only leads the NBA in postseason scoring right now, he's already the league's all-time postseason leading scorer. But no one in this series or throughout the league will have more responsibility on his shoulders than LeBron will, starting tomorrow night. His nature is to pass. His nature is to facilitate. He's had to score. He can score. What do you expect from him early on, in particular, in Game 1?
You know, I think his leadership will be on display. And what I mean by that, in what we saw in Game 7 against the Celtics, you saw Hill was struggling, you saw Green was struggling, you saw everybody was struggling in that Game 7 against the Celtics, with the exception of LeBron James. What he was able to do those first 2 quarters was not to bury Hill and Green, but somehow he found a way to nurse them back to health, able to resurrect their games and inspire them to come out in the third and the fourth quarter and play much, much better basketball. And we know that, Matt, in those big moments, we have seen those big moments crush lesser players. And what LeBron James did in terms of leading those guys, giving them confidence, encouraging them, getting them out of that rough spot that they were in those first 2 quarters, to me, that was one of the most incredible jobs of leading a team and leading players that we've seen in a period of time.
Steph Curry went off, as I mentioned, for 14 of his 27 in Game 7 in that third quarter when the Warriors just own whoever they're playing for the most part. Expectations for him, aside from the usual Stephness that you love?
Well, you know, I've said this before. I don't think there's a more exciting player than Steph Curry right now in the NBA when he gets on his three-point binge. And he's must-see TV. And, you know, we talk about the 27 and 10 assists that he had, but Kevin Cottrell pointed out, you know, that he was 1 rebound away from a triple-double in that Game 7. And if he gets a triple-double, then we're talking about one of the best Game 7 performances that we've seen in a while. I mean, it will rank right up there with, you know, the James Worthies and the LeBron James and the Michael Jordans in terms of what they've been able to do in a Game 7. So this is how important Steph Curry is to this team. Remember, he missed all of the first series against the Spurs. So now he's just starting to get his sea legs back, starting to get his feel good back. And his feel good in this building is unlike any other player in any other arena.
Feels really good.
Yeah, I mean,
real good.
I mean, when he makes one shot in this arena, his three-point shot probably is the equivalent to what Reggie Miller used to do, you know, in Conseco or Old Market Square. When Reggie would make a three-point shot, the whole building, the whole city would go crazy. Same impact that Steph Curry has right here. Anybody else can make a three, and it's nice. Durant to make a three, okay, it's cool. Klay Thompson to get hot is cool. Steph Curry get hot in this building, and Oakland is on fire.
He's at the heart of more of these 2- and 3-minute bursts that the Warriors have than anybody I've ever seen in the NBA. And it doesn't make him the greatest scorer of all time, but in terms of excitement, there's nothing quite like one of those bursts. We'll hear from him, the other stars ahead of Game 1. Here's to get here. LeBron James became the 6th in league history to reach 8 straight NBA Finals. He had 35 points, 15 boards, and 9 assists in a Game 7 road win in Boston to make it happen. The Warriors also needed a road Game 7 win to get here. Steph Curry had 14 of his 27 and another trademark third quarter binge for the Dubs to do away with Houston. So here we go again. The Warriors will look for a 3rd title in 4 years. Last year with Kevin Durant as Finals MVP, Golden State won it in 5 games. This is the first time that same 2 teams have met in 4 straight championships in any of the major North American leagues. Golden State won 2 of the first 3, as you know, with both teams showing the ability to win on the other's court. Steph has 76 threes in the last 3 finals alone. Only 3 Cavs have played in all 3 finals so far. Remember, Kevin Love was inactive back in 2015. And 4 Warriors will appear in their 4th straight finals, assuming we see Andre Iguodala at some point during the series. More on that in a moment. As for Love, he's still in concussion protocol. Whether he'll be available for Game 1 is still in question.
I hope so. I'm still not sure. He's going to go through some things today and see how he feels, but he is in the protocol still, so we'll see how he feels.
Is there any scenario where you would consider, even if you were healthy, bringing Kevin off the bench just because of the defensive matchups that you need?
No.
That was an interesting question and an abrupt answer from Coach Tyronn Lue about Kevin Love. If he's available to play for Game 1, and we won't know for sure until some point during the day on Thursday, what's the best way to use him in a finals that doesn't match up necessarily great for him?
Well, Matt, after being around the Cavs for the last 2 weeks, with us Eastern Conference Finals, Zeke, Ty Lue believes in Kevin Love. Yes, he understands that Kevin Love is not the best of foot on the defensive end, but he also realized they can't box Kevin Love off the glass either. So he understands, Matt, that Kevin Love, after he gets through what he needs to for the league, for the concussion protocol, will get back into the system. But what they've learned that Jeff Green now is playing with confidence that you have an extra body that gives you a different style. And I think that's why Ty Lue's saying he will stick with Kevin Love to start the game, but don't be surprised when Jeff Green comes in, everything changes up a little bit.
And what Ty Lue understands about Kevin Love and about rebounding controls tempo. And if you can rebound the basketball, and Kevin Love is one of the best rebounders in the game today, you can control tempo. And he also stretches you out to the three-point line, and therefore it opens up the lane, driving lanes for LeBron James. So Kevin Love gives you a totally different kind of look when he's out on the floor. But most importantly, what he allows you to do is control tempo because his ability to rebound the basketball.
Well, and offensively give LeBron James a rest from time to time the way Kyrie Irving used to, because Love is the only other double-digit scorer in the playoffs for this Cavalier team. The Warriors will also be shorthanded. Andre Iguodala is out for Game 1 with what the team has been calling a lateral leg contusion, and he has been a difference maker over the last 3 years, a Finals MVP in 2015, plus 141 over the last 3 matchups with the Cavaliers here in the NBA Finals. But out for Game 1, Steve Kerr talked on Wednesday about what his team will be missing.
That's one thing you can't put a number on. You can't be exact with things like this. We've had some really good days. We had some really bad days. So just like I said, keep pushing, trying to get through it.
Well, I mean, he was MVP of the series in 2015 largely because he took that role on of guarding LeBron, but also because of what he did offensively. We've got lots of guys who can take on that job. It's a group effort anyway, guarding LeBron. So KD, Draymond, Clay, Sean Livingston, they'll all see time on him.
Not just in this matchup, Iguodala has been really important during this postseason as well. He has the best net rating of any player still active in the playoffs. Bigger deal offensively or defensively for Golden State?
I think they're even, Matt. And the reason why is because offensively, we know Iguodala is the one stabilizer that helps keep the turnovers down because he gets the offense in the right position. Everyone knows where he needs to be. And he makes the right passes. Defensively, Zeke, like Steve Kerr talked about, he's the only guy that you can say, all right, I know you're not going to stop LeBron, but go give him a headache. Go give him problems. Go get in his way and slow him down a little bit. I think he will be sorely missed as well.
And, Steve Kerr, I think, made the accurate comparison to, Scottie Pippen. Mm-hmm. Scottie Pippen, one of the best defenders to ever play in our league, and what he was able to do to Magic Johnson in the NBA Finals, by pressuring him up court. Iggy does the same thing with LeBron James in terms of being able to pressure him big enough, harass him, but can also rebound the basketball, push it up the floor, and give KD's Steph Curry and Klay Thompson wide open shots because his ability to push, transition, and most importantly, defend.
We'll hear from LeBron James raving about the Warriors as a group a little later on in the show, but it was interesting when he was asked about Iguodala and what makes him effective as a defender, and just in glowing terms talking about how quick his hands are and his length and his athleticism and what makes him a problem defensively.
Yeah, I mean, when you got an elite defender like that, you have to respect it. And, You know, I was with Worthy the other day, and he talked about Dennis Rodman, how he was the most difficult player for him to play against. And when you have elite offensive players like a LeBron James, like a James Worthy, when they're giving that compliment to a defender, talking about his foot speed, talking about his hand speed, these guys are used to dominating people, and to hear LeBron James compliment somebody defensively, you know Iggy's one of the best in the business.
And again, Iguodala is out definitively for game 1 at least, and we'll find out his status the rest of the series as it plays along. More coming up here as we continue from Oakland. Steph Curry talks about ignoring the predictions and playing the right way as the finals begin.